Hey guys, how are you? Welcome to my kitchen. It is a quite grim day outside today, so definitely not a good day for any kind of gardening. It just feels like the perfect day to wrap yourself in a blanket, sit on the couch, watch telly and have a lovely cup of tea. But I'm gonna do something different that I also enjoy a lot, which is like a little cooking and baking, and I thought I'm gonna share that with you. Because I still have, as you might recognize it, my basket full of beautiful things that I harvested with you guys in my previous video. And one of the crops that I grew quite successfully this year are pumpkins actually. So this video, as the next one as well, I will focus on what I'm going to do with pumpkins. Pumpkin to me is one of those vegetables that always reminds me of my time in the United States, because in America, people just use pumpkin a lot in autumn. There's like pumpkin spice latte, pumpkin spice pie, pumpkin bread. I kind of feel like once autumn hits, pumpkin is everywhere. And even to me, I feel like pumpkin is the one vegetable that speaks autumn better than any other vegetable probably there is. So what I'm going to do today is I will use this beauty and make a spice pumpkin pie. I've never done it before. I made like different pies and tarts before, but never like a spiced pumpkin. I did my research and found a recipe that I found quite intriguing. So fingers crossed that this is going to work out well and taste delicious at the end. So what we're going to do is, first thing, I will work with a pumpkin. I think it's a Hokkaido pumpkin. As I said in my previous video, I bought the seeds in the local garden center here. They were unlabeled, but I used the pumpkin before to make a soup, and I was eating the rind as well, and it was perfectly fine. It was soft, so I'm pretty sure that this is a Hokkaido pumpkin, because that is a beauty of Hokkaido pumpkin, that the rind is edible, and how you work with that is like you can just cut it in half, get the seeds out and all kind of like the mushy stuff that's inside, and then you can just chop it up and eat the rind as well. Like if you roast it in the oven, if you boil the entire thing, you can just mush it up. This is, I think, the reason why Hokkaido pumpkins are also so popular, and they grow really easily, perfectly, so definitely a keeper for next year. So yeah, the first thing I'm going to do really is now chop it up, and then I'm going to boil it to make a puree out of the pumpkin. The pumpkin is chopped up and boiling right now, so I think like about 20 minutes, and then it should be ready. All I do is just like get rid of the water and just puree it. So this is what I'm going to do in a second. In the meantime, I will focus on the dough. So since this is a pie, it kind of works same as a tart basically. So you have your dough as a base, and then you do a filling that goes inside of it. So the dough is a short pastry, which you would also use for making like shortbread or cookies or stuff like that. So I've already prepared all of my ingredients here. By the way, I hope I don't come across as a lower-end version of a Julia Child in this entire thing. That was what I was just thinking a second ago. I thought like, luckily I didn't start this entire video with like, bonjour. So let's see how that goes. Let's see how I feel about it when I watch it myself in the end. Anyways, I've got all of my ingredients sitting here. So we got brown sugar, and do I tell you how much I use? Yeah, I do. Anyways, I am going to write the entire recipe down in the description, so you could just follow up and bake it yourself if you are interested and if you feel like, oh, this is a good recipe. So I've got my brown sugar. These are 80 grams of sugar. I got my flour. I got 250 grams of flour. I'm using spelt flour, and the reason for it is I think like it just has this nice crust that it builds basically. and I just like the taste of it. And I also feel like it works really well with the spices and with the pumpkin and everything that goes inside. So you could just use whatever normal baking powder you want to use, but I kind of baking flour that you want to use. But I feel like spelt is just a nice option for this, and it feels autumnal to me. Then we got actually the baking powder. So this is half a teaspoon of baking powder, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and then 165 grams of cold butter from the fridge. So just like in small sprinkles. So what I'm going to do, put it all in here, and then I'll mix it up with my hands. You can also just do it with your kitchen machine, and then as a last step, just mold it together with your hands again. This kind of pastry, the dough, should not stick to your fingers. So if you feel like if the amount of ingredients for some reason isn't working right or something is weird, it shouldn't be too crumbly, so it should still kind of stay together as a nice ball in the end, but it should definitely not stick to your fingers. If it starts sticking to your fingers, all you got to do is just add a little more flour. And after I mix it all together, we just put it in the fridge for 30 minutes. The dough is ready and in the fridge now, so it's going to stay in there for roughly 30 minutes. And in the meantime, I can start with the filling. So as I did it with the dough, I put all of the ingredients here in front of me so I could just walk you through and then put it in step by step and make a lovely filling out of it. So what I got is, the first thing of course is the pumpkin as a puree. So I've just mushed it all up and it got a really nice texture and color. So I think this is going to be really pretty inside the pie. Then I got the sugar, and I need to look at my notes again. I got 150 grams of the brown sugar, and what I did is I add another pack of bourbon vanilla sugar inside as well. Then I got 2 eggs, they are medium size. I got 1 pack of cream cheese. So the recipe requires for 1 pack of cream cheese, and I thought, aren't there different sizes in a pack? And I checked the supermarket today, and most of them had like 135 grams. So I think this is probably just like a standard for cream cheese. So I just bought that. So this is like 135 grams of cream cheese. Then I got lemon zest. And the lemon zest, I just want to show you a little tool that I bought in Amsterdam like a while ago, which is this. So if you don't have something like that, I can hardly recommend you buy something like that. This is like a tool on how you can get the zest off any citrus fruit really easily. So it has like tiny little holes here, like 4 holes. And what you do is you just go over the rind of your lemon and you end up with these little lovely lemon zests here. So this is really easy. It took me like not even a minute to get this done. And before I was always using a really weird technique with my knife and trying to get it right and make sure that no white part is in there so it doesn't get bitter. And this tool was really like, that was a good investment. Of all the silly things you buy for the kitchen, this is a good one. And now I got all the 3 spices that actually give this spicy flavor to it. So each of them is always 1 teaspoon. I've got 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. It's always a powder. I mean, cinnamon is anyways a powder. Then I got 1 teaspoon of ginger. This is also a ginger powder. And I got 1 teaspoon of clove, which is here. I actually used a little less of this because I feel it's quite intense, and I was like, ooh, 1 teaspoon, it's maybe for my taste a little too much. So just do, if you like clove, do the entire teaspoon. I did a little less. Anyways, I'm going to put it all together now. I start with the eggs because they need to whip them up quickly. So just pour them in here. That's it. Then what I'm going to do is just add everything bit by bit now. First thing is the puree. By the way, I hope the sound is a little better now. I was just checking. I was using the mic with the little application that should go on it for making videos indoors, and I thought that the sound was a little off, honestly, on the first few things that I did here. So I kind of changed it now to the little fluffy thing here that I normally use when I do videos outside. So I hope that this is going to work better. And if you hear a lovely squeaking sound in the background right now, This is Alfie with his squeaky toy. She got, I don't know if you know it, there's this toy for kids actually. It's from France, which I think is really cute. It's Sophie, is it Le or La? I think it's Le Giraffe, I'm not sure. It's like this giraffe toy, it's a squeaky toy, but it's made of natural rubber. And I thought it was cute. And when I was in the pet section, I saw all of these toy dogs made of like rubber. And since I was I'm actually a fashion designer, and I used to travel to China, and all of my cheap plastic alarm bells were ringing when I saw all of these toy dogs. So I thought, no, Alfie doesn't get that. Alfie gets something that kids normally would play with. So she got a little Sophie that she's actually loving. So next thing is the sugar. Put the sugar in, and then just all of the other things, like this lemon goes in, cinnamon, the ginger, the clove, and the cream cheese. So what we're going to do now is just mix it all up. And it really smells good already. Just standing here, and when you start mixing it up, all the spices, you could really smell it. Oh, I'm so excited. I think this is really going to be good. I'm excited because it only required 2 eggs, and it has a lot of pumpkin in it. So I'm really excited for the consistency. I'm not sure if that is, no, that's not the word really. For a consistency, something different. For the texture of it, because I think it will be rather creamy. It won't be like a thick kind of thing. I think it will be rather creamy, but let's see how it goes. So this is ready actually. It looks really lovely. This is the color, kind of like a nice brown orange color, exactly what I was hoping for it. So the next thing I'm going to do is focus on the dough again, and then I'm almost ready to put everything into the oven. Yay! So let's do the last part of this entire baking video now, which is getting everything together. I've already preheated the oven to 175 degrees, so that is heating up. It's almost there, so can hurry up a little bit. The thing I'm going to do now is, I'm not going to lie, the one part of this entire baking process that I personally don't enjoy too much, which is like getting the dough into my baking tin, because I think with those tins it's always a little complicated, but it should be all right. So this is one of, it's a tart tin, that's how I know it, and how it works is basically your bottom part, you can just push it up, so if your cake is ready, this is really convenient, so you could just get it out easily. And what I did with this is I just put a thin layer of butter in it, and then just some regular flour, just toss it around so the flour is basically covering everything, so when the cake comes out of the oven, you could just get it out of the tin easily. So this is ready. Next thing that is ready is the dough. So this is fresh from the fridge. It's a little cold, but I think, yeah, you can still definitely roll it really nice, which is good. So what I do is I already just like squeeze it a little bit into a flat, kind of like a, I don't know, like a plate, a shape of a plate a little bit, so that the rolling will be easier. And all you got to do now is basically put some flour on a sheet of baking paper, and that helps later on to get the dough into the baking tin. So just gently cover the baking paper with some flour. Some goes on top of it. Okay, and then some flour here. And now I'm just going to roll it out, and try and make sure that you roll it out nice and evenly. I think when I look at the size of my baking tin, I have too much dough and probably also too much filling. So I don't know, I still have those in tiny. So maybe what I do is maybe make some smaller ones as well. Maybe that'd be cute. I don't want to waste any of this. Anyways, if you have dough like this as a leftover, I mean, this is like a short pastry, so what you can do, you don't need to throw it away. You can easily just make some cookies out of it and just bake them after your cake is ready, or even at the same time, just on a baking sheet, and just put it in there, and you have some lovely cookies on top of it, which is always nice to have, I think. Okay. Make sure that it's kind of like even and already kind of round. When it comes to the baking, actually, there are 2 ways on how you can bake it. You can put the dough into your baking tin first, and then bake it blind. I think this is also how you call it in English. I'm not 100% sure. So you put the dough in without the filling, and then you bake it for about like 10 to 15 minutes. And then you take it out again, and then you put your filling in and bake the entire thing. I don't do it like that. I put the dough in, and then I put the filling in immediately and bake the entire thing. The reason is it's a little easier and quicker, and also I think like when you bake the dough first, it gets a little more crispy, and I don't like when the dough is too crispy. I like when the dough still is kind of like a little, it's not juicy necessarily, but when it's, yeah, I just don't like when it's like flaky and crispy too much. So this is why I do it that way. So if you enjoy a dough to be a little more crispy, you should maybe do it other than I do it actually. Okay, I can tell that this starts to look good. Yeah, this looks really well. So what I'm going to do now is put it on here and roughly check if this is going to work. Because what you need to do is like cut a circle all the way around it, and you want to have enough on the sides so that you can really like make sure that the entire side of your baking tin is covered with the dough. But I feel this should be all right. I mean, you can always tweak it a little bit. So now you just take your knife, cut around it. So remove all of the extra dough now back into the little ball. And now comes the part that I really don't like to do. Okay, let's see. So in theory, you flip this over, and then it should go inside and look great. And it never does work for me, and I can tell you, it might be difficult on this dough as well, because I can already see that it's kind of breaking a little bit. Okay, this is looking quite all right, I think. This looks good actually. Okay, and now just gently push it in there. See, what you can do is just break all the extra parts away, like that. This looks surprisingly good actually. And then just firm it in all the way around on the sides. Remove all of the extra dough, because we don't need that, we don't want that. I'm going to make sure that on the top it doesn't look like weird, because I'm like pulling it off, and then you have this edge that is not looking too neat. So I'm just like gently going to tap on top of it here again, because by doing that you make sure that the brim of it actually, or the rim, looks a little nicer and a little more clean. But anyways, I think this can look a little rustic now. I mean, it's a nice autumn pie. And if you have a little corner like here where I feel like, okay, took a little too much dough off, so all I'm going to do is just take a little bit back and just squeeze it in there. Because the dough has a really nice texture, so this works really easily and well. It's just good. Perfect. I'm really happy with that. That looks really good. So this is actually how it looks now. The dough is covering everything inside and a little bit on the outside. So I should remove the things that are just hanging on the outside. And all I'm going to do now is take the filling and pour the filling in here. Let's see how much goes inside. Maybe I just made a little too much dough and the filling. Oh, I have a little too much filling. I have a little left over, so I think I might make like a little tartelette of the rest of it. Oh, that looks good. That smells good. Perfect. So all I'm going to do now is take it and put it in the oven. This goes in the oven for roughly 50 minutes, maybe 60 minutes. I always check on it. Just how it looks on the surface. I just check for like a nice bronze looking crust. And then let's see, I'm really excited. In the meantime, I'm going to clean all of the mess here and take care of Alfie, because I needed to take her squeaky toy away because I just checked the previous video and I'm really sorry. That was a little annoying, but when I'm in the process of doing something, I just didn't want to run out. So it is what it is now. It's the first cooking video I ever make.